Good afternoon. It's 2 p.m. Central African time. Always a pleasure to have you join us here on Market View when we are talking partnership, collaboration, as well as the economy. Coming up today, Eswatini's tax authorities taking a different tone this week. This is not one of enforcement, but one of recognition. The Eswatini Revenue Service is set to honor individuals and businesses who have led by example on tax compliance. Now, this is part of their third annual Client Appreciation Day. Now, the message is clear. In an increasingly digitized tax environment, compliance rather is not expected, but it is applauded. We're going to speak to the Commissioner General, Brightwell Ngambule, as well as Director of Communications, Ndobeko Dlamini. We want to find out what this shift means for taxpayers, for businesses, as well as for trust in public institutions. That's ahead. But first, our business news. In our first story, we take a closer look at employability, a closer look at youth employability in the Kingdom of Eswatini as new programs are launched to tackle one of the country's most pressing economic challenges. Of course, that is unemployment. Now, according to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security first quarter performance report, 258 apprentices as well as trainees were training at 48 active companies by June 30, 2025, with multiple initiatives that are rolled out to address the issue head-on. How employable are the youth?
The Skills Anticipation Report indicates that youth unemployment in the country remains high, with a slight drop from 58.2% in 2022 to the current 48.7%. Different initiatives have been implemented by government in partnership with the private sector and other stakeholders to empower young people across the country through vocational education and training, promoting internships, enhancing industry-linked skill development and entrepreneurship. Director of Ligusasa Lethu Youth Employability Center says the country's youth holds potential. However, there is a greater need for transferable skills.
So there's a lot of creativity in Swaziland. There's a lot of knowledge. Maybe they don't find work in Swaziland, they go somewhere else. I don't think the subject matter is the problem. The problem is the skills to actually start going into the industry and start working. And I think a big problem in Eswatini that I see is communication skills. And we're looking at 21st century. And people should have communication skills, should have technology skills, should know how to work in a team, should be able to think critically and have design thinking in their mind and critical thinking in their mind. And I don't think we're doing that. Because the industry today, it's also very versatile. Like what in your skills you can now transfer. So we need to have those transferable skills. We need to start thinking technology. Like schools are teaching, all are TVET school. You know, it's plumbing and electricity and builders. Yes, we will need plumbers. Plumbers we're always going to need, right? And electricians. But the level, like they can do so much more if they integrate the technology. Now we're looking at solar energy, green technologies. How many places teaching that in Swaziland? So we are in that junction now. If you don't know AI, if you don't know how to prompt AI, if you don't know how to use Excel, if you don't know how to use different apps and things, you'll stay behind. So these are the skills that we really need to encourage people in Swaziland, on top of being an accountant or business management. So TVET is the essence of what we do, and I think it's a prestige, and it's something that we can do with good branding and marketing, but also offer good school. Like you want to go to that school, you want to be part of that school. So we need to create a new narrative around it, and it's not a problem because everywhere around the world, it does have. In Swaziland, what happened? You do TVET if you just can't do anything else and you got out of the system, and then somebody will pay you to go to Sabenta or MITC or Ngwane Park or something like that, right? And it needs to be the other way around. I don't have to know history and geography because I can be a very good mechanic, but I need to get that opportunity at high school level.
Though attempts to reach the Ministry of Labour and Social Security on the subject matter proved unsuccessful, government continues to strengthen initiatives that keep youth empowerment a national priority to align skills development with market demands. On July 15, Eswatini joined the globe in commemorating World Youth Skills Day, bringing together youth leaders and development partners to discuss the future of work, focusing on the role of AI, digital literacy, and green economy skills in creating a future-ready youth. For Market View, Notilesi Tole, Fumingo Sinzinisa and Derek Msibi, Matapa.
On our second story, we look at this index according to the Consumer Price Index report for June 2025 that was released by the Central Bank of Eswatini Statistical Office. There has been a negative growth in accommodation services for both restaurants and hotels, from 25.6% in June 2024 to negative 3.7% in June 2025. That is year on year. Now, from 6.4% in 2025 to 5.1% in June 2025, month on month. It's a development that comes months after cuts in United States funding to NGOs that are operating in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Now that's it for our business news. We'll go for a net break. We have our live discussion with the Commissioner General as well as the Director of Communications from the Eswatini Revenue Service.
This is Subsidy, the game show where we talk about government-sponsored financial incentives. Our first question: which of these sectors benefits from government subsidies? Agriculture, education, transportation, or all of the above?
Oh, that's easy.
The answer is all of the above.
He's right, but there's more to the story. Sometimes governments support their people and businesses through a policy tool that brings down prices called subsidies. They do this to create long-term benefits for the economy or to help pay for things that the market isn't providing but that people cannot live without. Subsidies can also be a helpful tool when an economy is hit by crisis. Let me show you what I mean. Take housing. Everyone needs a roof over their head. Unfortunately, not everyone can afford it, but governments can help by subsidizing rent for poorer citizens or building more low-cost homes. Education subsidies, like discounted tuition or free textbooks, can make schooling affordable for more people. As a result, people are more skilled and can get better jobs. Even something as small as bringing down the cost of public transportation yields benefits for the environment. Not to mention, it gives people more options about where they can live and work. But not all subsidies are helpful. Some have downsides. Oh, this is me.
Doors open.
Take a look at one of the most common subsidies: energy. In a lot of countries, fuel subsidies can mean consumers are paying less for fuel than it actually costs to produce. And that doesn't even reflect the environmental cost. Look at coal. Burning coal produces electricity, but it also pumps carbon into the air, which causes pollution and contributes to climate change. If the price tag on coal doesn't include these environmental costs, companies will always choose cheap, subsidized coal over more expensive clean energy sources. On the flip side, when governments subsidize green energy sources, they make the clean choice the more affordable option. At the IMF, we support these types of reforms that get energy prices right and tax pollution, especially when the added revenue goes towards programs that can help the poor. Basically, making sure that subsidies do what's best for people, the economy, and Mother Earth.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. With just hours to go before the Eswatini Revenue Service hosts its 2025 Client Appreciation Day, all eyes now turn to the evolving relationship between taxpayers as well as the institution that is tasked with collecting from them. A relationship that is, of course, increasingly been marked by collaboration, recognition, and digital innovation. Important buzzwords in our everyday. Now, in its third year, the event has grown into more than a ceremonial nod, but it is a strategic gesture that is, of course, signaling the ERS's commitment to rewarding integrity and consistency in tax compliance. Let's discuss now this development with the Commissioner General. We are celebrating compliance with partners powered by digital transformation. That is the theme. What that truly means for the taxpayer, for you, as well as the broader economy. Commissioner General of the ERS, Mr. Bright Ngambule, and the Director of Communications, Ndobeko Dlamini, they're here in studio. Good afternoon. I must say, it's like we talked about it, that we should all be in shirts today. I love it. Let me start with you, Commissioner. CG, when we say appreciation, everybody loves being appreciated, right? And, now clients, especially when they hear that the ERS wants to appreciate them, what is it that we're talking about, and why is it now turned into an annual tradition?
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for having us here. And it's always a great opportunity to engage on our favorite topic and with our clients.
Yeah.
It is appreciation, it's recognition, it's saying thank you to our clients. Now, this is a culmination of activities over the last 12 months, because we are appreciating our clients for their compliance in the financial year 2024, April 2024 to March 2025.
Right.
And we are appreciating them for complying fully. This is voluntary compliance now. Voluntary compliance is about filing on time and paying on time and paying in full. So we are appreciating all those clients of ours for voluntarily complying to their tax and customs obligations. Now, we're doing this first to recognize them, and also to encourage others to also contribute and be responsible, contribute to the fiscus, and be responsible in making their contributions.
Yeah.
So for us, this is it's a way of life now.
Right.
It's at the core of our beliefs.
I love the fact that you say it's a way of life, because
Yes.
it means it's become a lifestyle at the ERS. Now, coming to you, Ndobeko, I can imagine the toiling around, preparation for this week, and of course the meetings, of course the campaigns, the outreach, all building up to the main event. I want to ask you, give us the picture. What's been happening in the lead up to the Client Appreciation Day?
Thank you, Sifiso, and good afternoon to our viewers. I think in the culmination to Friday's event, we have actually been recognizing our clients in our various service centers, in our border posts, with small tokens of appreciation, because we also want to show our clients that we interact with on a day-to-day, that we value them and we appreciate them as well. So that's been the hive of activity as we work our way up to our Client Appreciation Day main event.
Now, CG, of course, honoring businesses from 13 economic sectors is no small talk. If you really think about it and you put it into perspective, it's a broad sweep, if you like. I want to ask you, why go so wide with the recognition this year?
If we had a choice, we would recognize all of them, right?
Yeah.
But now, because of resources and time, we had to come up with some criteria. So we're looking at all the sectors. The 13 you're talking about is the different sectors. We're looking at all the sectors, and in each sector, we look for the highest contributor that has voluntarily complied throughout the year. So within each sector, we're looking at the highest contributor and those that have filed and paid on time throughout the year. And we've decided that we should be as inclusive as we can, meaning we must just not look at the big sectors. So within each sector, we have segments. We have the large segment, we have medium segment, we have small, so that we are as inclusive as we can.
Certainly, I love the inclusive approach, and I can see Ndobeko agrees with you because she's nodding her head as well. And compliance can sometimes feel like a cold box ticking exercise, if you like, but it's important to be celebrated, right? But to be rewarded becomes more importantly. I want to ask you, how are the winners chosen? And what exactly would you say sets the business apart as most compliant?
As I indicated earlier, you file on time.
On time.
You pay on time. Then you qualify.
Right.
Then within each of the segments, we look at those that contributed the most. So those that will be getting the recognition on the day can rest assured that we are acknowledging them for complying in full throughout the year, all 12 months of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is actually a massive achievement. And compliance in all the tax types, compliance in value-added tax, pay-as-you-earn, company tax, and any other withholding taxes that are involved.
And I'll come back to you now, Commissioner, but I do want to ask Ndobeko, because I've been seeing how busy you've been with regards to the outreach programs. How has that reception been like? How are people forthcoming?
Very. So Bafundzisa has done exceptionally well. I think it was an idea that we had embarked on as ERS to say, how can we intentionally educate our clients? Hence then the door-to-door visitations.
Right.
But we're getting, even from our social media pages, we're getting feedback to say, "Nfikanini zombotsi, nfikanini ngalana nalana." So I think we've started off with the corridor, and once we close off with that corridor, we'll then be entering other cities and also entering our rural communities, because the end of the entire campaign, we want to make sure that we have reached every single business within the country.
Yeah, and as we go for that drive, which Ndobeko is talking to, Commissioner, we are also awake to of course, the lingering challenges that exist. You talk of economic pressures, you talk of post-COVID-19 recovery, there's obviously rising costs. Talk to, the people who may be behind, Commissioner, who are struggling to comply.
All of them are our clients, and we love them, all of them. Those that are compliant will get recognition, etc.
Right.
Those that have not been able to be compliant, our arms are open. Our service centers are always ready to welcome them in. We have a number of initiatives that we have in place for them. The one such initiative that I want to bring up right now is the voluntary disclosure program. Now, this is a program that provides an opportunity for those that have not complied in full in the past, for them to come forward on their own. And the commitment or the undertaking on our side is that we will just allow them to pay the principal and, of course, the time value of money, but no penalties.
No chains and whips, and I hope people at home
they come out on their own, no penalties.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's such a great initiative. No chains and whips, so do the needful, please. But perhaps let me come back to you one last time, Commissioner, before I come back to Ndobeko. I want to understand. 14.61 billion, yes, that's the number, and it's not just a revenue headline, right? It's a statement. Take us behind the figure. What is the link between the extraordinary collection as well as the culture of voluntary compliance that you've been building?
Let me just add one other very important detail to that number.
Right.
70% of it came on time.
Wow.
70% time and on their own. Now, at the back of this achievement is service. We've gone all out as an organization, delivering our compliance activities with a smile, prioritizing service, prioritizing connecting to our clients. We've also rolled out a number of systems that will automate compliance, meaning that do the compliance on the behalf of the client.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
And aggressively the education. The Bafundzisa that we're doing now is door-to-door. We've always rolled out education campaigns. We've rolled out education campaigns in town halls. We've rolled out education campaigns through virtual platforms. Lately, we've gone on Teams as well. Microsoft Teams, wherein we invite our clients to come in to unpack specific topics, per sessions. So all of that has yielded.
Right. The 70%. I mean, that's amazing. Because I was just doing the math myself. I'm not a numbers guy. You are the numbers people.
Yeah.
But 70% of 14.61 billion is 10.227 billion.
On time.
On time.
Yes.
That's a great fit.
On time.
Now, Ndobeko, coming back to you, everyone's excited now, and it's coming. Talk to them about how they can follow the proceedings.
Thanks, Viso. I think we do understand that we can't have everyone attend the mainstay event. What we've made sure is to ensure that the event is live streamed, so it will be live streamed on our YouTube and our Facebook page. We do want to make sure that the country can follow the proceedings and ultimately be able to see who comes out as Eswatini's top and overall most compliant client.
Well, I want to let you guys go now, but Commissioner, anything you want to say to the client before I let you go?
Well, we want to say thank you. We are saying a big thank you, and this thank you is coming deep down.
Love it.
And also, on Friday, the Minister of Finance will also get the opportunity to also say thank you to the nation, because the compliance to tax and customs applications is a contribution towards funding the government program. So it's towards nation building.
Yeah.
And by the way, taxes or revenue, domestic revenue mobilization is the most sustainable source of funding for the government. What are the other sources? Borrowing. But government borrows at some point, they have to pay. How will they pay? From the domestic revenue.
Thanks so much, CG. Thank you so much, Director of Communications. That's it. Brighton Gambula, the CG of the ERS, with Ndobeko Dlamini, the Director of Communications. What I love the most about our conversation is the extraordinary collection that we have just learned about. That 70% is really, really, really charming, because if you think about it, when we talk compliance, it is very much synonymous with on time. You don't have to be backed. You don't have to be reminded. You know what you have to do, and therefore, you deserve to be celebrated and appreciated, and the ERS is doing just that. Let's go for that break. We have Sunny Lesbia for our market analysis after the break.
Hi, I'm Golda. I work here at the IMF. Our aim is to provide the best possible advice on economic policy to our member countries, helping them to create conditions so everyone prospers from economic growth. One question our economists are always getting: how can we reduce poverty and foster inclusive growth? There are a few ways to think about it. Some say the government should be heavily involved in the economy, with regulations to keep people safe and high taxes that fund and support a healthy, well-educated and inclusive society, even if it's at the expense of higher growth. Others believe that the government should have little or no part to play in the economy. Lower taxation means more money in everyone's pockets. More individual freedom, they say, means more economic growth overall. But maybe there's a target we all could be shooting for: the best policies on inclusion and growth. Essentially, inclusive growth is about making the economic pie bigger and sharing those slices more widely. So, how do we get there? By aiming for a middle ground. Both sides mostly recognize the need for social safety nets, public pensions, unemployment insurance, food programs. These measures prevent extreme poverty and provide a basic standard of living. At the IMF, inclusive growth is central to our work because reducing poverty is in everyone's interest. Part of having a free and equitable society is ensuring we all benefit from its growth, no matter who we are. And it's not just about creating a fair and equal chance to succeed for individuals, regions, or countries. It's about distributing growth fairly for future generations too. Overall, inclusive growth is based on the idea that wealth creation, economic freedom, and equal opportunity can and should coexist.
right, this is our market analysis. I think it makes sense today, looking at the headline conversation of this program. Sandelas Bia, thank you so much for joining us. He joins us virtually via our Zoom video link. What are the headlines today? Please, just a quick one in under 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo, and good afternoon to the viewer. So what we're seeing right now happening in the US, Mr. Ngumalo, is we're seeing President Trump back on that J. Powell tiff that we're seeing that rift between President Trump and the Federal Reserve Chair, I know, coming back into the fore. So that somehow sent markets tumbling at the start of the trading session yesterday. But as soon as that statement was retracted, we saw markets, just climbing back and recouping those gains. But basically, we're also seeing earnings, also showing up the markets and ensuring that we didn't see much losses. Basically, over 87% of the companies that have reported in the US have actually surpassed earnings expectations. So we're seeing the Dow Jones Industrial Average on that gaining some 231.49 points in today's trades. And then when you move into Europe, we're seeing a bit of, some flat activity in London. That's purely because we saw those sentiments coming through from Sir Keir Starmer in terms of, punishing those MPs within the Labour Party that actually voted against the budget. So now that sent a bit of uncertainty into the market in terms of what is going to happen. And also, when you look into that bill, we are seeing a bit of some pushback in terms of the policies that the Labour government wants to enforce and implement to get people back to work. But when you look into Germany, we're seeing a bit of some movement, gaining some 195 points, 0.63 today's trade, because we're seeing there's likely going to be more diplomatic action between the Germany and the UK, and that actually will also include a bit of economic news there. And also, we do expect that cooperation to show up the defense spending. But and also, we know that Germany has actually relaxed that debt ceiling. No, they're on a debt break right now, so they are most likely going to borrow money to bolster the economy. So that bodes well for Germany as well. While inflation seems to be on an uptick in the UK, but it remains relatively steady across the overall eurozone. And then when you move into Asia, the Nikkei there gaining some 237 points, with the Hang Seng losing a bit, and the Shanghai Composite Index staying steady there. But what we're watching here is those jitters in markets around the issues of the trade deals that have been struck between Indonesia and the US. We saw the preliminary results. They show that there is going to be a 19% tariff on goods imported from Indonesia. So now that's why we're seeing the Nikkei failing to break the 30,000 mark back to the 40,000 mark, because there's that uncertainty. Johannesburg continues to impress, so staying at the 97,000 mark in terms of all share volumes. And we know that this rally right now is being driven by those platinum prices, but it seems we are failing to get back to that 99,000 mark there, or even break that 100,000 mark because of those tariff fears, Mr. Ngumalo. And then in the local markets, we've not seen any changes. Gold, on the other hand, in terms of commodities, remains relatively high, and we're seeing Brent crude oil there again gaining a bit in terms of, because we're going into summer right now in the northern hemisphere, and we do expect demand to surge, and the demand for Brent for oil is going to be bolstered on that ground. And then in terms of the exchange rates, when you look into the Lilangeni dollar exchange rate, we are somehow on weaker ground right now, following that retraction of that statement by President Trump, but we remain on a relative strong footing against the euro and the Japanese yen. Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo.
Thank you, Mr. Sandelas Bia. That is Sandelas Bia, our in-house economist, tapping into the markets of the day. Let's end the show right here. Thank you for staying with us here on ERS Market View Text Talk. Bye-bye.
into the hands of an external party. This after Israel carried out